This episode of XIV Reborn is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker. Get your free 30 days and a free book.
Gamebreaker TV.
Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 28 of XIV Reborn, your Final Fantasy show for March 4th, 2014. Today on the show, Live Letter 13 is officially on the calendar. Should Final Fantasy XIV get a little more open world, and Leviathan is kind of starting to look like a badass. But joining us, as always, you know him as Mr. Happy, Michael Poveromo. How are you, sir?
I'm doing swell. How about you?
You had to strike the Hildibrand pose, didn't you?
Oh, come on. It's after last week. It had to be.
You always have to do that.
Happy brand. Happy brand.
Happy brand.
And we got the side story quest preview today, so it had to be done.
Also, that's true. Also on the show, in an unusual spot on the cameras here, Mr. Gary Gannon. How are you, sir?
Very unusual. This feels completely alien to me right now. I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do. I'm used to hosting the shows, and now I'm in a second box, which is nice. This is nice. I'm glad to be here.
He's like, I just get to sit here? I don't have to click things?
I don't have to do anything. I don't have to run the show. I just get to sit here and talk for a few minutes.
So Mr. Gary Gannon joining us again. You have some special announcement here, right?
I wish it was that cool. I wish it was a special announcement in a good way. So I want to say that Bird, you're doing a fantastic job. Both of you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I'm happy to be sort of passing the torch off to you on XIV Reborn. It's a great show. I love watching it, and you're doing a fantastic job as a host. That first being said.
Thank you, sir.
But why am I here? So, long story short, I'm going to try and keep this short. I've never wanted to come to this moment. I've never actually. This is like the weirdest thing for me right now because I never wanted to come to this moment that I am at right now. Gamebreaker needs the community's help. We're in a financial situation where we are very much struggling to keep going right now, and there really just is no other option. I've never wanted to do this. I've never wanted to get on camera and literally be like, "Hey guys, we need help," but we absolutely do. It's not fair to our staff, who some haven't been paid. It's not fair. It's stressful. There's a lot. I think we all believe in Gamebreaker immensely here. I think it's amazing what we've created in the past 5 years, 3 officially, but really like 5. And I don't think any of us wants to give up. I know I don't want to give up. I love what we do. I love making these shows. I love covering the news every day and just exploring new things. It's great. Our staff is amazing. But we absolutely are in a situation that if we do not get some sort of financial help from the community, we are probably going to have to close the doors and soon. This kind of everybody's probably like, oh my god, even the staff is probably like, why is this coming all of a sudden, like, out of nowhere, and all of what's happening. It's a bunch of different things. I mean, publishing on the web is extremely difficult. Making money on the web is extremely difficult. Advertising is extremely difficult. Banner ads are getting blocked and don't get work as much anymore. So creating revenue streams and actually I think what it costs to do something like this on the scale that we're doing is something that probably would amaze a lot of people how expensive it is to keep servers running on a daily basis and all the things that actually go on in the back end. That being coupled with, we started Gamebreaker with a very small investment from 2 people to help us get going, and it really worked for a long time. We had a little bit of money in the bank. When we had these bad months of advertising, we had a little bit of cushion to keep us going and get us through to the next month, and things would pick up. Over the course of 2 years, that kept us going for almost 2 years. It was pretty amazing that it did. We chipped away at it little by little when bad months would come, and it's not there anymore. And to be quite honest, my wife, who just has been insanely supportive of all of this, lost her job today. So she has been there both just emotionally and financially when Gamebreaker has needed it. So it's kind of a rough time. and we need the community's help. So that's really all I can say.
Little rough. You've got chat looking like they just want to hug you, Gary. They just want to give you a big hug and throw money in your pocket.
If you guys like what we do, if
Yeah.
you've liked any of our shows, if you enjoy what we do, please, all I can say is, if you're watching on Twitch, there's links below. You can click on any of those banners. You can, you can donate. If you go to the website, gamebreaker.tv/donate, that's the URL. Go to gamebreaker.tv/donate. You can click and make a contribution. That is going to be the best way to help us right now. We are going to get something up and running a little bit more formal, talking about a goal of what we're trying to reach and keep us running for X number of months. We want to make that transparent so you can all see that. We don't have it right this second. This is all just literally happening like today. It's like minute by minute. There's so many things happening. So if you're watching on Twitch and you can donate, please go to gamebreaker.tv/donate or click one of the links. That is the best way you can possibly help us out right now to keep the trains rolling. And we love it. We love it. We hope you love it too. We don't want to stop. So that being said, I don't want to make the whole show a downer. And we've got lots of things to do because we're going to try and do like a whole big community, like 48-hour live stream event and all this other kind of stuff, which is going to be a lot of fun. But we want to get the ball rolling. You guys are killing it. Go talk about Final Fantasy XIV like you guys do and love. Have a good show. And that's really it.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir. I wish it was under better circumstances. So maybe come back when things are looking up on the donate page and we can give little updates on
I feel good.
each show.
I think the community loves us. We love
do.
the community. I think the community loves us. And like I said, I've never wanted to come to the point where I literally just had to ask the community for help, but it is what it is, and we want to keep going. So have a great show, guys.
Thank you, sir. So
Thank
let's
you.
get into some Final Fantasy, and excuse me while I switch some cameras around here and get this back up. I apologize. Boop. And we'll move you, and we'll move you. Look at that. Perfect. All right, so starting off the show, Live Letter 13 is on the way. Set your alarm clocks, because it's going to be early. Yipes. So
Yeah.
Live Letter 13 is going to air on March 21st at 2:30 a.m. Pacific time. For you and me, Happy, that's 5:30 on the East Coast of the United States. So if you thought previous Live Letters were early, this one's even earlier, right?
You know what's funny? I made a prediction on my Twitter that it would be similar to these times before the official announcement came out, because they were in Japan letting everybody know about the Live Fate event, so only the
Right.
Japanese Lodestone had the event listed, because it's the Live Letter wasn't the only event listed there, but it did list the time for the Live Letter of being 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. in Japan. So I tried to do some quick Googling and figure out, it'll be between it'll be like 1:30 PST. Glad I get an extra hour of sleep, so I was actually a little bit relieved when I saw that the announcement would be an hour later than I had expected it to be.
Yeah, this kind of turned into, well, shit, should I just stay up all night and maybe stream something? Or should I get up really, really early? Because it's a Friday, right? And we've had that happen before. It's Friday and Saturdays, typically the days. But we've had the last few have been on Fridays. So that really wasn't a surprise. So I'm trying to decide, do I just stay up on the 20th and stream a bunch of games? Or do I get up early? I don't know which yet. So stay tuned to the
I'm
social
sleeping.
media.
I'm sleeping because the good thing is when it ends, it's gonna end at 7 a.m.
Right?
and then I'm gonna go make a video about it, and there's no way I'm staying up till like 8, 9, 10 a.m. It's just not happening.
See, I do my type up as it's going. So by the time the live letter's done, I can push my article in like 15, 20 minutes and then go to bed, call it a night.
That ain't happening.
Now,
with
the
me.
time
Nope.
shift mostly due to location. It's not going up from the typical location. It's in Sapporo, Japan this time around. Now, since this is kind of like, it's not officially part 2 like we saw the previous live letter where they actually split the title, live letter in part 1 and part 2, although they are billing this as part 2.
Yeah.
For patch 2.2, most of the reveal is going to be focused on beast tribes, the glamour system, your buddy Hildibrand.
There we go.
Ventures for your retainers, which we'll get into in a little bit if you're asking yourself what the hell's a venture. We'll talk about that. But there's bound to be some special announcements, too. They always leave that on there. What do you see in that category this time?
It's hard to say because we need clarification on some of these things as it is. I'm expecting we will see a trailer for 2.2. They had a trailer for 2.1, so I'm expecting a trailer for 2.2, especially because they've announced voice acting. There will be more voice acting in 2.2, and by more I mean it would at least exist in this patch. I don't know. I don't see them doing much more than a real Leviathan preview. Like, not the one that we saw last time, real
not the
Leviathan
initial
preview.
Trailer video that we just got a little combat.
We weren't supposed to see,
right.
quote unquote.
That we're not supposed to see that thing they do every live letter.
Yeah, it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm going to do it. Oh, I can't believe
you did that. Oh. Yeah, they do it every time. I think we're probably going to talk eye levels here. Now, I don't know if that includes the reveal of all the tiers of gear and the new tomestones and what that, but I think we are going to talk more eye levels about, and we'll get into Leviathan itself. We don't know specifically the eye levels required for that content yet. They hid that on the announcement. So I think we'll get into maybe what eye levels are required for certain things. I think Yoshi P might still hold back on announcing the eye levels for the specific gear sets. I don't think he's ready to divulge that information yet. We're still potentially a month away from 2.2, and I don't think he wants that out there very early. I think he's going to hold on to that. Or maybe I'm nuts.
I think you're nuts.
Think I'm nuts. You think he's going to talk about next tombstone and eye level?
It's on the list of things that we were allowed to ask about, so if he doesn't answer them, why is it even there?
Well, it was on the list. We're allowed to ask about it. They're the ones that pick what they're going to answer.
Yeah, so what are they? Don't pick the useless answers. Pick the good ones. Pick the good questions. Don't pick, because you already know the. I almost didn't even want to click on the item level one because I was literally like, gee, I wonder what question is going to be under the item level section of the live letter.
As soon as you went in, it was first question, and it had all the thumbs up, and then the rest of the questions were just like slight variations. I
tried to make an interesting question. I was like, will stats become more dynamic as item level? It was like, I can't.
Yeah, I saw your question.
I was like, I can't think of anything else to ask because everyone just wants to know what item level is everything going to be.
Well, there was a good question, too, about set bonuses. Would we potentially see that, too, which belongs in the eye level category, but I don't think they're even going to touch that one with a stick yet. I think that's a 2.3, 2.4, maybe even later edition. Given the guest of honor, though, they do have a guest of honor, main scenario writer Kazutoyo Mihiro. That's a kind of a weird guest of honor, isn't it?
I think it depends on how big the main story, because we got an estimation, what was it, I think 2.5 times bigger the story was going to be. But when they say the story, that could include Binding Coil, that could include Hildibrand. We don't know exactly what that's a scope for 2.5 times. But if it's just the main story that's going to be that much bigger than 2.1, I'm thinking another 10 hours of main story, because you could do the other one in maybe 4 hours with teleporting and running around and the fights you had to do in the dungeons.
And there's a section for questions for him, but I just think that's I can't imagine them revealing too much. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I can't imagine them revealing too much besides maybe some. I can't. They're not going to talk main story, right? They're going to let players experience that. It's going to be generic stat-based questions. I don't think it's going to be anything about what's actually being written.
If you want to know what it's going to have to do, Google it and find what other games he's written about, because those are going to be the games that people ask him questions about.
Yeah,
because
there we go.
Last time we had somebody different on the show,
it had nothing to do with.
He was even like, "Why did you pick this? This has nothing to do with Final Fantasy XIV." He looked at Yoshi and be like, "Why did you even pick this question?"
And that was that was weird too, because they came back from the break. And then the second half was like there was nothing in it. There was, besides the tail end when Yoshi P started going through the next live letters, the pictures of the veterans rewards and stuff like that. From the break to that point, there was nothing in there about Final Fantasy XIV. My write-up is just like, yeah, we came back from break and here's some screenshots. We're done.
That was mine too. In my video, I'm like, yeah, so we're gonna skip like all
Right.
of this and just go right to the thing at the end.
Are we getting a release date, do you think?
I think we're gonna get it before then.
You think we're going to get it? Well, so we got the live letter the 21st. PlayStation 4 is the 14th.
Mhm.
We're reasonably sure from previous statements they've made that patch 2.2 will be prior to PlayStation 4 launch. So April 13th at the latest. We've all kind of, on this show at least, speculated the end of March. That gives them 10 days from the live letter to launch. So you think we're going to hear an announcement prior to?
Here's what I think is going to happen. They're not going to want to release a major patch during either A, the PlayStation 4 Phase 2 beta,
Right.
or B, the PlayStation 4 Early Access, and obviously not PlayStation 4 Day itself. How I'm picturing it's going to play out, we're going to get it on March 25th. That's my prediction. I'm throwing that forward right now, March 25th. Why? It's patched. It's worldwide patch day. It's worldwide. Technically, it's worldwide reset day because it'll probably start on the 24th, which is Monday, and then roll into Tuesday, like
into the
last
Tuesday,
Monday.
like normal.
Yeah, and we'll be up at 5 in the morning to just to do the content. And yeah, I mean everyone, right? Everyone.
Yes, everyone.
Everyone, doesn't matter where you're. Hey, that's what crashed them the first time when the game launched. That's why we had so many problems. Everyone was logging in at 5 a.m. So I expect that, and there's a few reasons. One, it's still in March, which they've been talking about as the date, as the month to expect 2.2. That is the whole time, March. Expect the March. We're on schedule for March. Like, that's all we kept hearing.
Right.
We've already started seeing previews for the content, which I'm assuming we'll get maybe 2 more of them this week. Maybe one on Thursday and one on Friday. And Friday, I'm expecting them to drop the date, to be honest, for the patch 2.2. Another thing is, it's going to make, obviously some people are on break from the game because people like me who have been enjoying other single-player games will be enjoying some until the patch comes out.
Yeah, somebody's been playing a lot of Diablo 3 lately.
What can I say? The game that should have came out 2 years ago finally came out. But anyway, that's a story for another time.
That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. Don't worry. But anyway, also, it's right before Phase 2 of the PlayStation 4 beta, which is going to be on the live servers. Yeah.
Are they not going to want the servers to kind of be bustling with life while the PlayStation 4 beta is going on? From a business perspective.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with the 25th. It's hard to argue with that. So, let's play a little game. Not a ton of news this week, so let's play a little game. Here's what I've done. I want us, both Happy and I, we're going to pretend that we are now presenting the live letter. I've taken one... Hi. I've taken one...
Hi.
That's so wrong that we did that. I've taken one question from each section of the forums that players submitted. If you go to the official forums, you can ask a question for the live letter, and it's broken up by subject. And so I've taken one question from each section that players have already submitted. And we're going to answer them the way they think, we think they would actually be answered if they chose these questions. Now, I will admit...
And spoke English.
Yeah, that too. I will admit there may be one or two that I just picked because I thought the question was outrageously funny, and who knows. So first up, the questions, we start with the questions on the forums for Mihiro-san, lead writer. And the question was... Will grand companies get storylines again soon? I also tried to pick questions that I obviously didn't think they would actually pick because I thought they were interesting. The Seventh Umbral Era story was one of the most memorable things in any game I have played, but in A Realm Reborn, the grand companies barely have any meaning. There's just those places and cities where you can go to upgrade to the next rank so that you can upgrade to the next rank so that you can get 2 minions and then forget that they exist, which is exactly what I did.
Mr. Byrne, you know a lot about
I
that,
know
don't
all
you?
about this.
He left out the part where you also completely lose all your PvP abilities. He should have included that in his question.
Right, right.
That's definitely a big part of the Grand Company.
All right, you want to go first or me?
You know what? You're the minion master, and that's
I'm the
how it
minion
ended.
master.
So you can go
Do I
first.
think grand companies are going to get any more meaning? Probably not. Grand companies right now just kind of serve as that grab a quick piece of gear if you don't have time to go do something else and get the better piece, or maybe you've been unlucky on the drops and you're just going to wear it for a little while. Besides, I mean, the most important thing they do right now, at least to me, is the stat respec item. That's pretty much it. On top of that, maybe you're buying the different books so that you can level crafting or gathering a little bit faster. But to me, the most important thing that they offer, to me, was the minions, but overall is the respec ability. And I don't see the grand companies themselves, the way they operate and where you can buy the gear, becoming more important. I do see, as part of the story, the grand companies becoming a bigger part of the actual story. But as far as what they offer players and how you interact with them outside of the story, I don't think that's going to change much. Hi.
Well, hi. Anyway, I think we will. I'm gonna go complete opposite here. That we will see, not necessarily storylines, as much as I would love to sort of give people incentive towards their pick. Their pick feeling more meaningful is really what people want, I think, is more along the lines of what this question wants to get at.
I agree.
You pick a grand company, but what's the point of picking each grand company? They offer almost the exact same thing. Maybe one has a casting body piece that you're going to replace in a day, or the other one has a tank body piece you're going to replace in less than a day. But there's no reason to meet that decision you make in the main story holds no weight.
And I don't think it's going to. Personally, I don't think it's going to until Frontlines.
Frontlines is definitely a time when I think that we'll see weight. And I think that just the way PvP is handled right now, with the way the abilities are, is an homage to that. That we will see. It's foreshadowing that grand companies will become far more important when
because the way it's structured now and the reliance on the grand companies with PvP makes absolutely no sense if you have no idea that Frontlines is coming and that's going to be larger scale arena-based stuff. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see any real relevance of the grand companies besides inside the cutscenes, inside the stories, until Frontlines. So we disagree slightly. So which one of us is Yoshi P? Because that would be the one that's right.
I'm Yoshi P.
Anyway. You're Yoshi P.
I'll be Yoshi P in this case.
I gotta go dye my hair real quick.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta go. I mean, my hair's long enough. I could probably maybe get it like his if I like.
just run your fingers through it. That's all.
I'll figure it out. I need a lot more jewelry too.
Next up,
but
item levels. Question. Will we see items with interesting, we kind of alluded to this, interesting, unique effects in the items introduced with higher eye levels? For example, meaningful set bonuses, armor, or weapon procs, like we see in some other MMOs. Obviously, I didn't pick the basic question, what's the eye levels going to be?
What's the item level? You should have.
You're first this time.
All right, will we see items with interesting, unique effects in the items introduced with higher item levels? This was actually a question very similar to the one I asked, is will we see more dynamic stats? And I don't know if in 2.2 we'll see it. I'm almost not expecting it in 2.2. But Yoshi P has expressed interest in more interesting stats in the past. I can remember back to, I believe it was E3, when he said that weapons and items you can expect to have more interesting stats somewhere along the line.
Right.
It was somewhere right before launch, may have been after E3, maybe one of the live letters. But he knows. He calls himself this hardcore MMO player. He obviously knows that he obviously wants more interesting stats.
Oh, that reminds me of something. Tangent here.
Tangent. Here's the circle. That way.
We totally have to digress for a minute. So the video that came out, you said hardcore, and it made me think of the video that came out. I posted it.
Okay, I know where this is going.
You know where I'm going.
I know where this is going.
I posted it on xivnation.com today. Off of Square Enix's official YouTube for Final Fantasy XIV, and it's the whole PlayStation 4 talks to devs and talks to game creators.
Yes,
and
I know.
Yoshi
I know
P sitting there
exactly
talking about it, and he specifically said And
There's a 6-letter word.
Yup, he specifically said it, and I know that like 90% of the Final Fantasy player base was like, "Oh, I can't believe he said it."
I'll go to Reddit real quick,
He
see
said-
if we can find it.
Oh my god, don't even go there. He said, Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn is a casual game. And no! every hardcore MMOer was like, oh my god, I can't believe he said it. But you're right. I mean, that's the way he's treating the game, and to a certain extent, he's obviously absolutely right. It is a bit more casual than other, more well-established MMOs, and I think it'll get more hardcore as more and more content is added. I think we just have some time right now where you butt up against the end of the content if you're racing through it. But I agree. He's definitely going to add those types of procs. He's mentioned it before. Hi. Next question.
Hi.
On to gardening. I love this question, and I know you do too. That's why I picked it.
Yeah.
Will gardening be as mysterious and interesting as it was in, say, Final Fantasy XI, or will it be more or less you know exactly what's going to come out of the pot the moment you plant it? I love this question. I'll go first. No, it's not going to be random at all. You're going to know exactly what's coming out of that pot. Hi, your turn.
I will say that while I don't think it'll be random, I think it will be possible that people may forget about their garden and stuff will die. I do think that if you don't attend to it, but the thing is, I expect it to be more. Since it's comparing it to Final Fantasy XI, I'll compare it to another task in Final Fantasy XI that didn't take a lot of time and it wasn't that mysterious. Actually, it was a little bit. Chocobo breeding.
Yeah, there was a bit of mystery there.
Little bit, but people eventually, as with everything in any MMO, eventually somebody figures out exactly how to do something. But it was basically you log in, you feed it, and then you log out. If that was all you were logging in to do, it was something that literally took 10, 15 minutes of your time out of your day to ensure that it was successful. And you had to do the same thing with gardening as well. It was something that got you logging in daily, which is something they actually kind of need right now. And I'm expecting more of that content to make its way into the game. Do I expect there'll be a lot of mystery? No. Do I expect you to actually have to care to your garden a little bit? Yeah.
I agree. Hi. We have to do it. We're pretending that we're giving you the live letter here, folks. We got to do it. Next up, ventures. So the question that I picked was exactly what specific services will the retainers used in ventures offer? So if you don't know, ventures are going to kind of be like you can send your retainer off to do things, crafting or gathering or whatever, that you could also do yourself. And Happy, I think you had a question or two on the forum that was like, how well can your retainer do these things? I think maybe it was you. I thought it was you when I scanned through. How well can your retainer do these compared to you doing
compared to a
them?
player? Yeah. It would be more or less effective. But this question,
this is slightly different. Assuming you know what ventures are, what specific services will the retainers used in ventures offer? Hi. I'll go with you're gonna be able to do just about all the gathering. I can't see very much limitation on the gathering. I can see crafting up to maybe single star. I don't think the game's gonna let you. I'm even dicey about single star, but I don't see the game letting you send a retainer to go craft the single or double star items. So I think it's going to be a little more limited on the crafting side of things. I'm not sure about fishing yet. If I think that that specific gathering is going to be there or not. So yeah, I would go with most of the mining, most of the botany, about 80 to 85% of your crafting, and fishing I still have a question mark on.
My answer, despite me saying I was Yoshi P not more than 5 minutes ago, no idea.
Oh, not going to put it out there.
Because what useful activity is it going to do is my question. Because sure, it can go get you maybe it can go get you some copper ore, or maybe it can go get you some wind shards or wind crystals. Doesn't help us with the other problem with crafting. Not really. All it does is make people lazier, and actually, it might even make people not want to log in as much. Yeah, go do that. I'm gonna log out and go do something else.
No, see, I kind of disagree. I see this going, and I could be totally wrong. We're just guessing right now. We're literally just guessing. I see this going more the way of like something in Neverwinter where your NPCs you send out to do the crafting, and that actually levels those jobs too. I can see there being maybe more stringent rules on it, so that you don't log in for 5 minutes, send your retainers to go do something that takes 8 hours, and then log out of the game and go away. So I can see more specific rules on it, but I kind of hope that this goes the way of it isn't just your retainer goes out and grabs those crystals and comes back, and they'll be back in 45 minutes with a dozen crystals. I hope it's a little more in-depth than that, that while they do this, this also garners experience, maybe at a discounted rate, I don't know, garners experience for those specific crafting or gathering professions. So I hope it's a little more in-depth than just, oh shit, I'm out of lightning crystals, let me go send my retainers to do it while I'm running coil tonight. I hope it's a little more in-depth than that.
Hi.
Next question, moving on to beast tribes. Are there any plans... that's the wrong there, but that's all right. Are there any plans to lower...
They didn't need to know that. Only me and you knew that.
Right,
now
but
they all
it doesn't
know that
matter.
You can't
It
spell.
doesn't matter. As soon as my eyes saw it, damn it. Are there any plans to lower the minimum level requirement for beast tribes to provide an alternate method of leveling? If you haven't leveled your beast tribes yet, or you just don't care about dailies and so you haven't done it, there is experience to be gained doing those quests, which would be great to dump onto an alternate class. However, the first bout of them is level 43, so you can't actually turn them in until you have a class at 43, which doesn't make them a viable leveling alternative anyway. So with the addition of more beast tribes, 2 more beast tribes, do you see maybe the first round of beast tribes having the level requirement knocked down?
I think it would be better to maybe just make the new ones lower level as opposed to going back and revisiting the old ones. Because the bottom line is, it's not like this is super crazy end game content that people are clamoring for.
And you can only do 6 a day, so it's not an alternate leveling path anyway. Currently
that was
6.
actually
Currently
a
6.
question I thought about later is, will this still be part of the 6, or will it have maybe another 6 separate, or will it just be 12 now? Like,
well, that's a good question.
but
total on the
question,
spot, I'd say they're going to leave it at 6. I think they would leave it at 6, expecting that the people like me that are really going to go and do these things have already capped the previous 2.
I don't know, but to answer this question directly...
No, that's wrong. They're going to make it 12. I'm sorry. I just thought about my answer for a second. My brain was like, you're an idiot. I was like, yeah, you're right. It's going to be 12. Go ahead. Sorry. Again, tangent. There's 2 of them so far. Freeze frame! Mr. Happy's frame has been frozen. Have I lost you, sir? Oh, you're back. No, I cannot hear you. You speak, but I don't hear.
Oh, okay. It just said
There
audio connection restored. I don't know what... I think your microphone, or maybe even my microphone, got so loud that the program said, "Oh, stop. Stop. All right, your timeout is over," because it just completely disconnected.
So you're right. I agree. I defer 12. My initial 6 was... I'm dumb. I'm sorry. But to answer the original question, go ahead.
To answer the original question, potentially. Hello?
Potentially lowered.
Oh, okay. I see what happened. All right.
Potentially lowered. I'm going to say no. Hi. Next question.
Hi.
For you vanity beasts, the glamours, if you are interested in the glamours, Do you think crafters or gatherers will be involved in the Glamour system in any way? Now, I'm assuming that the question is really asking, besides being able to create gear that they can currently create, will they be involved in some other way? Not just the gear they create somebody might want. And the answer from my side, yes, I hope so.
We actually know so.
Yeah. This is like unofficially official. that yes, they're going to be very involved.
I think it was the Game Watch interview last month. If not Famitsu or Dengeki, he did like 3 interviews. He said that they will be making Glamour, and I think he said any crafter will be able to make a Glamour crystal, and that item is used in the system, and that it would be very easy to make and very cheap to make. So I think in terms of crafting, absolutely involved because they're going to be the ones crafting, and gathering, sort of, because you need materials for it, but we don't know if those are going to be gathered or bought, or we don't.
Right. Hi.
Hi.
I saved this one for last for you. Just for you, Mr. Happy, because I love you. Hildibrand. Will we eventually fight Gilgamesh during the Hildibrand quest? And if so, is the fight going to be a fate, a trial accessible in the Duty Finder, or a solo quest fight?
All right. So based on the preview we got today, which was very awkward.
Yeah, right?
In classic Hildibrand, in a classic Hildibrand way. And I don't know if it was just supposed to be like a family portrait of everyone who's involved, including the green chicken.
Right.
Which by the way, for anyone knowing I'm colorblind, somebody told me it was green, so I believe them. Just putting that out there before somebody goes, wait, you don't know that that's green.
Well, I saw the picture and I was like, wow. I mean, you left the Hildibrand quests on a cliffhanger there, like, you know, if somebody didn't know, right? But you left it on kind of a cliffhanger, and then your preview for it is, hey, here's Gilgamesh.
And the green chicken.
Right,
and a little girl we know nothing about.
So, are we going to fight Gilgamesh, one? And then if
Yes.
so, which of those 3 do you think it's going to be? I think the answer is definitely yes, too. They've already, in part 1 of this, teased big battle, big bridge. So, yes, definitely fighting. Now, and we kind of covered this maybe a few weeks ago, too. Do we think it's going to be a fate, a Duty Finder trial, or a solo quest fight? Not what do you want it to be. We're Yoshi P and Foxclon now. What is it going to be?
All right. So the first time we fight him, because we're not going to fight him only once. This is Gilgamesh we're talking about here. You never fight Gilgamesh only once. First one, solo quest. Second one, trial. Third one, if at all, also a trial. 1 person, 4 people, 8 people. Not go any higher. I think there will be fates tied to Gilgamesh, but nothing against him directly.
I am not as hopeful as you. I mean, I would love if that's the layout. I would absolutely love it. And you and I have talked about this extensively on the show and off the show, that we think the Guildhest system in particular could be used to facilitate a lot more of these trial-type things. Or take things away from fates. I don't think so. I think that, yeah, there's going to be an element of single-player story. Whether that's a battle or not, I'm still up in the air. But sadly, I think this is going to go the route of fate. I don't like that it's going to, but if I have to guess, I think it's going to go that route.
It's unfortunate because the whole rematch thing can easily be integrated into a multiplayer.
Oh, yeah. Fate. No, you're totally right. And that's what's, I would love it if it's the way you said it. I hope it's right. And I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong on this one.
I'm Yoshi P, so you're wrong.
Hi. Easily one of the most popular questions from the general thread was, will there be any new services available on the MOG station? Of course, such as buying Fantasia.
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
I expect Fantasia and name change to find their way there very soon.
So make sure you're getting you haven't decided if you're getting up early.
No, I'm getting up.
You're
early.
getting up early to watch Reinhardt's live translation.
It's not. There's no way I am staying up that late. Because here's what's going to happen. Then I'm going to be a vampire for the next week. And while that might be good for the day that the patch launches, which if we're hoping March 25th, I would like to stay awake during the day as well when normal people are awake.
Chat wants to know if we will see Artificial Coconut and Gordon in 2.2.
Yeah, well, Gordon, I
Hi.
hope not, and Artificial Coconut, hi.
Hi. Artificial Coconut. Hi.
Hi.
Do you want Final Fantasy to be a little more open world? Maybe you're not alone, but before we get to that, I gotta talk about our sponsors. In addition to the information Gary gave you at the beginning of the show on how you can help support Gamebreaker, we always get asked, how can I help Gamebreaker? And a great way to do that, if you can't donate yourself to the stuff that Gary mentioned earlier, is to, of course, support our sponsors. And on today's show, my favorite one, Warby Parker. warbyparker.com/Gamebreaker. If you don't know anything about this service, listen up really quick because this is super cool. Warby Parker is an eyeglass site on the web. Now, they do prescription, and they also do sunglasses and non-prescription. It doesn't matter. So happy to have them supporting Gamebreaker here. But they do things a little differently, a little creatively. I wear prescription lenses, as I'm sure many of you do, and you're asking, how do I get prescription glasses on the internet? That doesn't even make sense. I usually go to my eye doctor and figure it all out and have some salesperson try and shove $900 glasses down my throat. Not so with Warby Parker. Actually a really cool service. What you do, head on over to the URL, check out all their frames, high-quality frames. Most of them start at $95. No $600, $700 starting price tag here. Many of them start at $95. You can play with the color, check out any of the different models. I got an email today that they just added a ton of frames. They've started adding in these kind of three-quarter surround frames instead of the full circle ones. They've added a bunch of these. So if you've already visited the site, check it out again. There's a lot of new frames on there. Once you've found some that you like, pick 5. Here's what Warby Parker's going to do. They're going to send you a little box. I got mine right here. Little box with a little label to ship it back when you're done, so you don't even have to pay the shipping. I think I did have to give them a credit card to make sure that I was a real person. They charged me like $1, and then it was refunded the next day. One of those deals. In the box, you're going to have the 5 frames that you selected. Now, they won't be your prescription yet. But what this gives you the chance to do is actually play with these things. Test the quality, mess around with them, flex them, make sure they're bending, and you can get them to fit your head. I got a big melon here, so I got to make sure that they fit. I'm a gamer, so I wear headsets a lot. It's nice to try them on with headsets, not something I can do at the optometrist. Mess around with them a bit, find the ones that you like, send your prescription into Warby Parker, and you'll be getting your new glasses in your prescription sent in the mail. Now, if you actually use the URL I'm giving you right here, warbyparker.com/Gamebreaker, what does that get you that you can't get otherwise? 3-day shipping on any of the glasses you order. That is not a service that you can get on the website. You have to use the Gamebreaker URL on the screen there, warbyparker.com/Gamebreaker. And I haven't even mentioned my favorite part. Warby Parker does this awesome service that if you purchase glasses, they will actually donate a pair of glasses to those that maybe can't afford them. They've donated over 500,000 pairs of glasses already. For every pair purchased, they give a pair to someone in need. So not only are you getting great quality lenses and glasses and frames for a great price, but you're also helping Gamebreaker by supporting our sponsors, and you're helping somebody that maybe can't buy those glasses themselves. All around, one of my favorite sponsors. So happy to have them here. Thank you. Check it out, warbyparker.com/Gamebreaker. Now, would you like 14 to be a little more open world? You're not alone. This isn't a new topic, right? We've kind of hit this on the show before.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.
So here's what just happened, chat. Gary Cannon left the meeting that we were in. And therefore, it has disconnected everybody. So I'm going to get
You are
Mr.
the first caller and
Povoromo
will be placed on
back
hold until
on
the
here.
next caller arrives.
Just a small little technical hiccup there. Did not expect Mr. Gannon to depart the meeting. Here we go. Let's get Happy back in here. There you go. Use that link. Oh, isn't technology wonderful? We're just going to talk about open world, and then that happens. Yes, chat. Slow claps. Slow claps. Chat is doing the slow clap for us.
A slow clap?
Yeah, there's definitely some slow clapping going on here. Let's get you in.
What are you talking about? Nothing happened. Open world.
It was totally fine. Open world. And
open world.
Boom. Povoromo back on the screen. All right, there we go. So yes, we were saying open world before the internet totally shut down. Had nothing to do with our side. This topic actually comes up quite a bit. There's a recent forum post that I think got interesting. It kind of started generic, but then it got really, really interesting. I know I should never have actually been on the forums. I should have run, but I was bored, so oh well.
Forum does that.
Yes, forum user RezoSlip asked on the forums if players would be okay with a big event that took away all the teleporting aetherites, all the aether crystals. Would the world be okay, player base be okay? Now this means mounts and chocobos now the primary method of transportation. Boy, this sounds familiar, right? Sounds like a game you and I played for a decade.
Almost. The word mounts is a little bit...
Yeah, it would just be chocobo.
Yeah.
While players joined in some giant event to try and get these crystals back up and running. So let's stop there, because this did segue into a much bigger discussion, which is why I bring it up here. But this is the way the discussion started. Would you be cool with this type of event, where all the teleporting is shut down, and each server has some huge quest where everybody's got to work together to power them back up again? Start there. What do you think of that? Just that particular event.
Why not? We already did it once for when 1.0 shut down. If those of you who didn't experience it, we had a familiar face in Atamos eating all the aetherite crystals away and putting, level 80 monsters next to all of them so that nobody could safely get to them or something like that. So we've already had one event that's very similar to this, which was the coming of the end. I don't see why we couldn't have another one, considering Atamos hasn't really fulfilled much of a role outside of when he did that the first time, and he's made a brief appearance in the Crystal Tower, which is generally unexplained why he was even there. So Atamos doing something could very easily bring an event like this about. It's the story is set in place. It's already been done before. I think they could do it again.
I agree with chat that says leave the airships, right? I think that's, you leave the airships, you leave the mounts.
The boat that nobody uses, leave that.
Right. And I'm kind of disappointed by that, actually. Only because I think back to how hard it was to get an airship pass back in Final Fantasy XI. And then you had to wait for the boat. Yeah. But anyway, that's just a personal thing. So keep the airships. I would be okay with this type of event. We already know that on the back end of the system, they can do this. So it wouldn't take a ton on their side. I'd be okay with this as long as it was fleshed out nicely. I just have shades of White Mage, Teleport Hala. Do you have it?
10K.
10K. So I don't know if teleporting being taken away, though, is all that big of a deal once you hit 50, though. At least in my case.
Not unless they make it a big deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, they would have to do something to force this to be a big deal. Because, and you're in a even more narrow boat than I am. But in the boat that I'm at, I'm in Revenant's Toll. I'm in Wineport. Occasionally, I visit a market board.
Is mine narrower because I'm in a house?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just clarifying. I was like, why is mine narrower? I go to Revenant's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I occasionally still tag a major city. But I don't know. You're right. They would have to make this a big deal and force you out of these hubs. I do like
Take
mounts
away Revenant's Toll.
I do like mounts being a little more important, though. Because right now, mounts just are purely cosmetic to me in this game. Just 100% cosmetic. But speaking of where you and I are kind of heading with this, the whole forum discussion, of course, ballooned out into something much bigger and brought up the whole open world in Final Fantasy XIV and the fact that there really isn't an open world in Final Fantasy XIV, especially once you hit max level, is there?
Not really. I mean, occasionally you'll run out to Coerthas for Behemoth if you even care anymore, or you'll run out to the Shroud for Odin again if you can even get there on time now that they have the character limit raised so high and the debuff limit. He dies within 2-3 minutes of him being found.
Yep.
So,
everybody's pretty much sticking to Revenant Toll, moving to Wineport for raid night. Unless you're leveling another class, there really isn't much compulsion to actually leave any of the central hubs. There's nothing making you do it except to go level other classes. That's kind of the downside, I think, of the Duty Finder. And so much of the content being slammed into the Duty Finder. Of course, it's an easy, nice system to use as far as queuing up and going to do a dungeon real quick or something. But because all of the primals and the trials and the guild hests and all that stuff is jammed into, everything is so dependent on Duty Finder, it kind of forces the game to be hub. Sit in Revenant's Toll and have fun until you get a queue pop. Teleport to Wineport to go raid.
You know what's funny? People were very upset that Chimera and Hydra weren't in the Duty
exactly,
Finder.
right?
And it just makes me question, really, if they could just... I guess at this point, for sake of making it available cross-server, it makes sense because it's, at this point, 6-month-old content, which is the same reason why Coil 1 through 5 is going on there. But at least for new content, I would like to see more things that act as a go here, trigger fight. Even if you're doing it in an instance, I would prefer if they could make a way that somebody could trigger a fight, similar to how treasure maps work, where you trigger a fight and people can see you fighting it. I'm sure they could very easily.
Yeah, and
do
I'm
that.
not trying to rose-colored glasses this, right? I mean, there are
Final Fantasy XI mode?
there are huge downsides to an open world, especially if it gets too open, which arguably Final Fantasy XI suffered from occasionally, depending on where you were in the leveling curve. But I like the open world feeling. I kind of miss that right now in Final Fantasy XIV. Officially, Bayonne, community rep Bayonne, did reply on the forums, and you just mentioned treasure hunting. Bayonne said, "We're looking into more content focused on getting players out and about." You can imagine the treasure maps were created as the first idea in this vein, and we're currently thinking about how to expand this idea. And that kind of scares me, personally, because I was really looking forward to treasure maps and was kind of disappointed with them big time.
Well, what was disappointing about them was that it was just another avenue to get the same materials that had already been in the game for so long.
And I gotta squeak your frame over. There you go. Now, that's the stuff.
There we go. Do I need to stay perfectly still?
No, you're good. You can move a little bit now.
All right.
We have officially recovered from Internet Crash 2014.
Internet Crash 2014. Okay, just making sure. They just unplugged it. But yeah, it was just more of them really just throwing the rewards into places where we didn't need them. We didn't need a new avenue to get philosophy materials. We didn't need a new avenue. We didn't even need that avenue to get the housing materials at the time, because that was kind of, those were the two draws. It was minions and housing materials. Sure, you could get some philosophy materials. Arguably too many. 8 every time that they did drop. You would get like 8. On top of that, crystals, shards, gil, and then just common, normal quality and high quality crafting materials. We just didn't need more avenues to get those items. We need more avenues to get things that are rewarding in other ways that
there's also something different going on with 14, though. And again, I'm not saying one is better than the other, open world or more instance-based. I enjoy both. I love Final Fantasy XIV. This isn't necessarily a downside to the game for me, and it's not a deal breaker. I would like it to be more open world, but I'm okay with it the way it is if it can't. The one thing that I will kind of critique on this topic, though, is that to me, Eorzea has never really felt open world at any point. Even through the leveling curve from 1 through 50, which should feel more like an open world at that point, until you hit 50, and until you touch all the crystals and get all the choco porters and everything, I can't honestly remember running from one zone into the next. I just didn't do it. It wasn't happening. Unless you count leaving the city, one of the main cities.
You had to do it at least once.
Right. But that was
again.
it. You know, you only have to do it once. So it never really has felt open world to begin with. I would like a more open world feel, but what about you? Are you okay with just total hub-based play that we have going now, or are you kind of with me that you'd like it to be more open if we can make it work?
See, we've had this conversation before, and my answer is pretty much the same. I would like it, but that does not mean that I want H&Ms to come back, those of you who played Final Fantasy XI. I do not want to sit in a zone for 4 hours waiting for one monster to spawn just for somebody else to get all the credit for
fighting. See, you ruined the way I was going to close the segment.
Nope. I wasn't even going to let you get that far because we've had this discussion.
We've had the notorious monster discussion, yeah. Well, so we have treasure hunts. We have events that kind of pull us into certain areas at certain times, if only for a few minutes each month with the different lightning events and the holiday events. I don't want the game to turn into a mountain riding simulator. I'm not arguing that, but I don't think the events right now are enough to cut it. It's just kind of, okay, let me look at my map, run to where I need to be, kill the fate, come on back. And to me, that doesn't feel like open world. It still feels like go to point A, teleport back to the original source point. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being picky, but I love it the way it is. I would just like it to be more open world. Would you like to see them kind of... what would you actually like to see them implement, though? I mean, we're casting Notorious Monsters aside. You don't want that. What would you like them see them add, since Bayon's quote leads you to believe that more open world is kind of a goal they're going for?
Well, since I said I don't want H&Ms from Final Fantasy XI, I will talk about something I would like to see. And one thing that I think Final Fantasy XI managed to implement very well was Zenny Notorious Monsters. And even Sky Notorious Monsters, to a degree. Some of them, not all of them.
We could do BCNMs, too. Force you to farm
BCNMs.
cricket assholes.
Yeah, the cricket assholes. Can't forget about those, along with the artificial coconut. Things that are out in the world that make it alive, but are still within the player's realm of control, where you're not completely like, oh, well, that other person is... got that enemy. Well, I guess I'll leave here for 4 hours. It's more like, oh, that person, wow, okay, that person's doing it. I've never seen this fight before. Let me go watch this fight out in the open world. Somebody doing something out in the open world that actually garnishes attention. And I think things that are force spawns, things that players get an item, they go to a spot to say, all right, I would like to spawn this enemy, and bam, there you go. That's open world. Another thing for Final Fantasy XI I'd like to see were the field manuals, which came a lot later in the game's lifespan, but it allowed you to augment gear. That was one of the features of it. Allowed you to spawn a Notorious Monster with some random elements attached to it. He could petrify on hit. He could have high magic defense. He could be resistance to ice damage. But he then gave you a random augment on a piece of gear. I think it would make crafting gear a little bit more interesting. I think it would make the world a little bit more open, and those are just things that are within the player's realm of control. That's what I would like to see. Hi.
BCNMs, cricket assholes. Hi.
Yeah. Artificial coconut. Hi.
Someone on the forums, though, did post, what about zones with more, like, incredibly dangerous monsters, even to level 90 geared players, and no teleport crystals? Kind of starts to open it up a bit. Shades of Final Fantasy XI, if you played that. I remember being terrified running through some zones. It was like, I gotta find a rock, I need to reapply Sneak and Deodorize.
You never reapplied Deodorize, don't lie to me. You never used that spell. Nobody did.
Next up, Notorious Monsters.
No.
BCNMs and cricket assholes. That's
realistically, even if you're going to do that, what's the point of those zones? What's going to get people to go out there?
Yeah, it still has to have that draw for you to actually want to go out and do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of going out, if you're headed out and you're in the middle of a great book, well, you could check out Audible, my friends. Audible, one of our sponsors, audible.com/Gamebreaker. If you're not familiar with Audible, then this might be your first time on the website, and welcome. We love having you here. Audible is a great service. Proud to have them as a sponsor. I've been reading a lot of Tom Clancy lately, so I queued up some Tom Clancy. I'm a big Jack Ryan fan. Love that. So if you're not familiar with Audible, audio service for you to get your ebook on. They'll sit there and they will read it to you. And most of these guys and girls doing the voiceovers love to do different voices for all the characters in there. There's also more music and sound effects. So if you're like me, I do a lot of driving, particularly between Pennsylvania and Jersey and Pennsylvania and New York. This is one of the best services I've ever subscribed to, and I would tell you that offline, even if they weren't a sponsor. Great way to catch up on the latest books that are out, or go back and get those books that you never had the time to read and still be able to get those, listen to them and get all the info. Tom Clancy here, also one of the WhisperSync books. If you're not familiar with WhisperSync, great feature. You can read the book if you have the Kindle version. You can read it on your little Kindle there, and then, I got to go make dinner. Let me just turn on WhisperSync, and Audible will pick up reading out loud where you stopped reading yourself, and when you're ready, you can pick it back up, turn WhisperSync off, and sit down and read it yourself. You don't have to set down a great book. Let's take a little listen to Tom Clancy's Command Authority.
You were born in Ukraine, in Kherson, to Russian parents. Yes, comrade. I am from St. Petersburg myself, but I spent my summers with my grandmother in Odessa, not far from where you grew up. Yes, comrade. The jacket blew out a sigh, frustrated at the continued formality of the Spetsnaz man. He asked, "Are you proud of those medals on your chest?" Telenov's face gave away his first emotion now.
Fantastic service. How can you support Gamebreaker? Support our sponsors. Head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker. We're going to hook you up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook of your choosing. Finally today, Leviathan is looking pretty cool, but I've got some questions about the gear. 2.2, we already knew, obviously, is bringing the primal Leviathan. In part 1 of the live letter, we got that whole little sneak peek video, which we mentioned we weren't supposed to see, but did see. Had the primal last letter. Are you expecting more this time? You said you're expecting a full trailer?
Yeah, every other primal has gotten a trailer. In fact, the Extreme Primals got their own, all three of them, a dedicated trailer. Titan had his own dedicated trailer when he was first introduced into 2.0. It would kind of be uncharacteristic to leave Leviathan out. I think he's going to have his own video, and it's going to be thrown into a big patch 2.2 video, similar to the video we had for 2.1. Just like a maybe 1-minute segment that belongs to him.
I can imagine that too. Yeah, do we expect that he's gonna talk about Leviathan all that much, though? He's not one of the individual content pieces that you can ask a question about. They did focus a lot on Leviathan in the first version or the first part of this live letter. They also yesterday put out or was it the day before? Whatever. Yesterday they put out the Leviathan preview that has the pictures and a little synopsis of both quests for the hard and extreme modes, although they excluded a couple pieces of info like the eye level and stuff like that. Do you really expect Leviathan to be a huge focus or a big topic, or do you think I'm kind of the persuasion that Leviathan's part of those other announcements category that they put in there, that they're going to say one or two things, maybe show a trailer, but I don't see them focusing on Leviathan for all that long this go around.
No, the only place I'm expecting we may see him is in the item level section. The item level and the general announcements. Maybe the general
I can see that.
patch 2.2 questions. Those are the only places I really expect we'll see. But Leviathan's not alone there. I'm also expecting Coil and the new hard mode dungeons to come into that, into those categories as well. Just sort of, hey, patches in X amount of days. Just a reminder, this, and this. Answer a quick question about each, and then put it aside until the patch notes, which, by the way, I'm expecting the patch notes will be available immediately after the live letter. Another prediction.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's much of a prediction because they did that for 2.1.
But they also did announce that patch 2.1 was going to be on December 17th. the previous month, whereas we still haven't heard a date. On our side yet.
True.
There are some differences.
I think though that I don't know if you know what. Now that I think about it, I don't know if we'll see patch notes right after the live letter. It'll be close.
So the Japanese patch notes will come out, and we'll wait a few hours.
Right.
For them.
It'll be close, but I don't think we'll see them right after. I think they're still trying to cram an awful lot in here. And if you look at the forum posts from the devs, there's still a lot of things that they're trying to fix with, in particular, like the ready check system. That there's things that they can't fix until 2.3. But there's parts of that they're trying to fix in 2.2. I think there's a lot of moving pieces for 2.2 still, and that's probably why things are being a little more delayed than they were for 2.1. Well, again, we go back to, when you think about it, most of 2.1 was supposed to be ready for launch day. And so an awful lot of it was probably very close to completion and didn't make it. Crystal Tower, from everything we heard, was ready to go. They just believed that the difficulty was too high, and they needed to tweak it so it wasn't ready, at least from what they've publicly said. Whether that's true or not, who knows? I think there's still a lot of moving pieces in 2.2 that we didn't have in 2.1. So I don't know. Maybe I could see a little delay on the patch notes. Any guesses on the eye level required
90.
to take Leviathan on? You think it's going to be 90? I kind of debated whether it was going to be 80 or 90.
To take them on, 80. To take on hard mode.
Yeah, I think hard mode is going to be 80, and then I could see
take them on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. To at least be able to queue up.
Making it very clear, just to queue up. Not talking about the rewards here.
Yeah, we're just talking about the ability to go in, since that item was omitted from the quests in the preview window. We do have a few pictures of weapons on there that you can expect to get as drops.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Not necessarily a fan here, and I just covered you up, so let me fix that for a moment.
It's okay. Nobody cares about me.
You're probably right. It's
Yeah.
okay. So there's your pictures right there. A few different weapons. So we see the monk weapon.
I want that axe.
Yeah, the axe looks pretty nice. To me, ugh.
I think that I don't know if that's black mage or white mage on the side, because I see what looks like a wand and a shield, but that could be either or.
Well, so here's my question for you. First off, do you like them? Because I'm just kind of meh about them.
I think the monk weapon doesn't look that good. I think the other two look okay. I kind of wish that maybe the scepter had an effect in that empty space between the arc, but other than that, like maybe a water globe sort of spinning around. I mean, we know they can add effects to weapons.
Do you think the drops are just weapons again?
I think these are hard mode weapons we're looking at. I think extreme isn't going to be weapons.
Well, the reason I ask is, obviously they're showcasing the weapons here, right? But see this little guy right here. There's the Leviathan water coloring, and the marking that they have on the other weapons is on the shoulder pads here.
Yeah. I think that's I don't know. It looks like shoulder pads, which could be interesting. When I first looked at it, I was like, that's a shield. And I still think
it's kind of at an odd angle. I can't really tell if it's a shield or if it's part of the chest piece, like the shoulder wear.
The reason why I think it's a shield, I think they maybe shouldn't have showcased it in level 25 gear. But
yeah, totally agree.
Because unless that's the new Allegan, which I hope not.
Oh God, not again.
But I think that's definitely a shield. I think those are hard mode weapons. That's a shield, and that extreme isn't going to be weapons.
What do you think an eye level for these? If they're going to be dropped, and we assume that these are probably the hard mode ones.
Higher than Moggle because Moggle was 75, and this is a continuation of the story.
Right.
Second of all, Coil 1 through 5 can just be, Duty Finder now.
Yeah, farmed and Duty Finder. At post 2.2, it'll be able to farm with no limitations either, no lockout.
And also, we're not expecting Leviathan hard mode to get the Echo, where we are expecting Coil 5 to get the Echo, which would give people access to an I-95 weapon with relative ease. But Leviathan hard mode isn't supposed to be all that difficult either. I'm expecting 90.
Yeah, and they've said before, Yoshi P said that he expects hard mode Leviathan will take you 2 or 3 tries of dying before you have all the mechanics down to go ahead and beat it.
I wonder if he said that about Titan somewhere. I gotta check my I gotta check my sources. So far, the only source I still have written down is less than 100 people for turn 5. We haven't heard such a prediction for turn 9 yet.
Not yet. Not yet. No viewer questions today because we got it socialed out a little late and had to make a special announcement at the beginning here. So, thank you for joining us. Michael Poveromo, Mr. Happy. You can follow him on Twitter at Mr. Happy1227. And chat is going to go apeshit if you don't do the Happy Brand pose. Boom! There it is. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1. It's MAGICKMANN1. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you out on the server.